What's going on, everybody? Zach Haydorn here for SEScoops.com and Brass Ring Media. How's it going? I have a very special guest today from AEW, Mike Santana. Mike, man, it is so good to talk to you. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to chat here.
Yo, what's up, man? Thanks for having me, Zach. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Of course. I mean, I want to start with your comeback. You know, you had an injury,
Yeah,
and you faced diversity in terms of coming back from that injury. What does
yeah.
it feel like to be back? You know, in not just in the ring, but like just back in front of the people, like working again, and not stuck in the I got to recover from injury mode.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's been it's I showed back up August 23rd on back on TV, and I'm still today trying to find the words to put together to
Yeah.
explain just how everything has been, because I went from showing up on Dynamite to going to Wembley, and
Right.
everything happened so fast, and I'm still trying to catch up with my thoughts and just catch up to everything. But I mean, it's definitely been a special time and a special moment for me. Like you said, I faced a lot of things, while I was out, and I did a lot of work on myself, not just with the injury. And I remember saying it in a vignette that I did on TV not too long ago, where I was like, the injury was the easy part that I had to
Right.
deal with. The hard part was dealing with what was up in my heart and in my mind. And I for the last 3 years, I let a lot of things build up and fester up inside. And finally, when you don't have the distraction of being on the road and wrestling and all these things, now it's time to deal with the real problems.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did, man. And I went away, I did the work, I disappeared. I stood off social media, I stood away from wrestling completely, and I just focused on myself and my health. And yeah, man. So like, the guy that you see today and the guy that people see today is a totally different person than what I was, June 29th, 2022. And I'm thankful, man, because there were a lot of days that I didn't think I was going to ever wrestle again. So
Yeah. I mean, is
the
that
fact that
the
the
Go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, good.
I was just gonna say, is that kind of the bug that gets in your head when you talk about working on yourself and from a mental capacity? Is the biggest struggle the fact that, oh man, I might not make it back, or was there other things going on too outside of just pro wrestling?
Oh yeah, it was definitely a lot of personal stuff going on in my life that I was just dealing with and I was forced to deal with. And yeah, there was just a lot of work that had to be done on myself before that I could come back and put myself back in front of people again.
Yeah.
The I wasn't happy with the person that I grew into the last 3 years, so I had to go away and do the work and better that guy out. And
Yeah.
but I'm thankful, man. I'm thankful. I'm blessed. God gave me another chance, and I'm here to make the most of it, and seize whatever opportunities are thrown my way. And yeah, man. And I think the main thing is just being happy. Being happy is everything. If you're not happy with whatever you're doing, there's no point, I feel like.
Yeah.
And today I guess I got to a point in my life where I don't allow anything outside of myself to determine my happiness or how content I am, or I control that shit to the fullest.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. But yeah, it was there's a lot of things that I'll eventually get into later down the line that went on while I was out. But for right now, man, I just I'm thankful and I'm blessed to even just be alive. You know, and yeah.
It's a great outlook, man, and congrats on that. And good for you. And I think there's a lot of people that could look at that journey and take a lot from it. And you've got a big platform, and so that's tremendous. How does that new positive outlook, that mindset that you talked about developing while you're out, how does that impact your work now that you're back? I mean, do you feel like you're a changed professional, like in the ring and on the microphone? Like has it impacted your work as a character in AEW?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like I'm much more invested now.
Okay.
I'm much more with the mindset of like, this is me, take it or leave it. And I feel like before I was so concerned about what everyone else thought and what everybody like what everyone else's outlook was, and now it's just like, yo, this is me, take it or leave it, and I'm gonna have fun, I'm gonna do me. You don't like it, too bad. Like I have that mindset, and also like, while I'd say the last 6 months while I was out, like I found my passion again, and I reminded myself why I do what I do. And I put in way too much time, I've sacrificed way too much to make this my career and to live this life, to just throw it all away, you know. So now it's like I'm putting my everything. Of course, like I put everything into it before, but now it's like it's totally different because now I'm on my own, and now it's like, this is me, and it just feels great, It feels really good to feel the way that I do, and especially having dealt with the things that I've dealt with, and just surviving that. Like I said that, some people just need to hit rock bottom. Some people just need to hit it, because then that's when you truly, it's the climb. It's the climb back up. It's that climb that helps you realize a lot of things, and it makes you appreciate what you have and where you're going, even more. So, but yeah, man, like everything that I do now, and everything that I put out is just with purpose. And yeah, I love it. I've been having a good time, and the future is bright, because at the end of the day, I hold the keys, nobody else.
Well, you're working the Warrior Wrestling show coming up this weekend, October 6th in South Bend, opposite Brian Keith. That's just a kind of a huge match in and of itself. I think you guys, like your guys' style together, is going to match perfectly. And but you mentioned like kind of being on your own, and so how does it feel to be? I want to get into some of your tag team stuff in a minute, but like to be out, like whether it's AEW or an independent promotion, or just kind of out there operating. How is it different? Like deciding what bookings to take and what where you're going to go creatively, what you're going to do with your character when you just have you to remember, and not the team or a partner or anything like that. But like this match, I mean, it's such a fun match, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. But I don't, is it hard for you to kind of recalibrate your brain where you can say, oh yeah, I'll take that opportunity, or oh okay, I'll go over there and grab that? Like walk me through kind of like getting pulled into this event and what it means to be working with Brian.
Honestly, not hard at all. I've been super confident in myself. Like I've been doing the work. I've been because even before I got hurt, I was doing independent bookings on my own, and I was doing some pretty cool stuff. And I was enjoying a lot of the things I was doing. The problem was that my mind wasn't good, so even though I was doing all these cool things, like I feel like I wasn't enjoying it as much because I was still dealing with my personal stuff. But now it's like honestly, I don't find it challenging at all because I'm looking at everything as a fresh start. You know,
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, I'm not starting from scratch. I'm starting from experience now. And but like I've always I'm a student of wrestling, you know, so I always do my due diligence and I do my homework and I know that I'm not going to go into something blindly, you know.
Hmm.
And like, yeah, I've been a tag team wrestler for a long time, but also like, again, I've been into wrestling my entire life. Like when I need to do the homework, I do the homework, you know, and I
Yeah.
do what I need to do to better myself and to improve. So, um, but yeah, man, and Keith, man, like he's on fire. He's a great guy. He's a great worker. I was watching his stuff uh, before I went out, before I got hurt, and he was just like, I was like, yeah, I need to work this guy sometime down the line,
Yeah.
and I got to meet him when he did AEW, and he seemed like a cool guy, and yeah, man. So I'm definitely looking forward to working with him and just like you said, our styles mesh really well,
Yeah.
and we're you know I I said it right away once the booking came through and everything worked itself out. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a good one, you know. So I'm
Yeah.
excited, man. I'm excited.
Yeah. What do you study when you say, your student game and you study
Hmm.
up? Like, are you constantly kind of watching? Are you watching old stuff? Are you watching, you know, new stuff, up and coming guys, like
Everything,
everything?
everything. Yeah, like so honestly, while I was out, I stood away from wrestling.
Okay.
I didn't watch. I didn't like. I started catching up to stuff maybe I'd say 2 months before I actually came back. That's when I started catching up to what was going on. And but I watch everything. I watch WWE. I watch Impact. I watch AEW. I New Japan. Just everything, you know.
Okay.
And it's keeping my ear to the ground and seeing who's out there and seeing what's new, what's fresh, and also the old stuff, because how can you not, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the classic stuff is the best stuff. And but yeah, man, like you learn that's one thing that I love from pro wrestling, and I think is so important for people to evolve, is just learning from everyone, from the new guy to the veteran, to you just learn from everyone because everyone has something to offer. And yeah, man, like I watch everything.
Do you like before you take a booking or something like that? Do you
Hmm.
just dive into, like in this instance, like Brian Keith stuff, where you're watching, like, can do you pull ideas from, other matches, like, oh, we got to do this or we got to do that, or I want to do that heat spot in a match, I mean, like, how intricate do you get in your studying, for this stuff?
I always try to go back and watch the guys' stuff
Yeah.
and see what their capabilities are and see where they're at as far as creativity and just how their mind works. Because I feel like that's the best way that you could see where a guy's mind is at when it comes to being in the ring. And
Yeah.
yeah, man. So with Brian, I went back, watched a few things, seeing how he moves around in the ring, seeing how. Uh, and I have noticed that we complement each other a lot, like with a lot
Yeah.
of our styles. So that's why I'm so excited about it. But yeah, I definitely go back and do my homework and also watch other guys who have similar styles, just to see what we could incorporate, what we could take out, and yeah, man, it's all homework, man. It's like
Yeah.
when you dedicate your life, just like with anything, when you dedicate your life to it, you do your due diligence and you make it happen.
Yeah. When what's the a key kind of for you in terms of, like, what you try to get out of taking and working on the independence, as opposed
Mhm.
to, your week to week, day to day, month to month in AEW? I mean, because there you've got TV and you've got production and
Mhm.
you've got
Mhm.
like a lot of other kind of business of the business to take care of. And then
Yeah.
when you're out, in South Bend on Saturday, and or on Friday, excuse me, or you're in a different independent, it's just you and the audience. Like, do each of those environments do something for you creatively or artistically, or do you prefer one over the other? Like, talk me through, because it seems to me that it'd be a very different, it's a bit of a different approach to wrestling, on television in front of 1 million people, or 1,000 at an independent show.
Yeah, I think for me personally, working on TV is very structured. There's a lot of times where you could be very restricted as far as times and stuff. Thankfully, at AEW, they allow you to be very creative when it comes to putting your stuff together, and they don't really. If anything, a lot of the agents there, they just try to make things better for you. They take your ideas and try to enhance them, which is great. But of course, you're working with time restrictions. You're sometimes you're not wrestling as often, right? Because it's such a crowded place, and there's a lot of people, and everybody's trying to get their opportunities and trying to, do their thing. But yeah, it's like, for me personally, is like, when you're on TV, is you have your formula, and you work around your formula and your guys' formula, and you hit your stuff, right? And but when you're on the indies, man, that's, for me, that's open season. Like that's your opportunity to be as creative as you want, and to go in different directions, and just like, it's, we have creative freedom, but to a certain extent. When you're on the indies, it's like you said, it's you, so you're fully in charge of what you put out, right? And I think that's the greatest. To me, that's my favorite part of wrestling. Like, I love working the independents. I love that freeness that I get, and there's nothing like an intimate crowd. I remember I showed up at House of Glory by surprise a couple of weeks back, and I said it in the ring straight up. I was like, yo, I could wrestle in packed arenas every week, but it won't compare to wrestling at an independent in front of 500 people, 1,000 people, or however many people are there. And just for me personally, you can't compare. It's awesome to like, I went from wrestling in front of 80 something thousand people, right? Which is awesome.
Yeah, you're not going to turn that down. Yeah.
No, which is crazy, which I almost did. But anyways, which is great, which is crazy, right? But I love the true grittiness and essence of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And for me, the indies, just like back then with the territories and stuff like that, like there's just something about it, and that's the stuff that made me fall in love with wrestling, honestly.
Very interesting. So I got to jump in. You almost turned down the Wembley show?
Here we go.
I mean,
eventually I'll talk about that. But,
all right. Fair enough.
Just like I said, I'm at a place in my life today where I'm okay with myself. I'm okay with what I've done, and I'm okay with. I don't look at things outside of myself to bring me happiness or bring me joy or content. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just at a different place in my life, and if I wouldn't have wrestled at Wembley Stadium, I would have still been happy. I would have still been content. I would have still been the same person I am today. And I'm thankful for that, because and that's not taking away from a lot of guys that will freaking die for an opportunity like that, which it was no small feat, right? I knew the magnitude of what that was, but I'm also, again, at a place where, like, I'm good. I'm good, and I feel good.
So, okay, you had such a run as a part of a tag team with Ortiz. I know, I don't need you to air any kind of news or stuff about your relationship that you don't want to air, but outside of that, though, outside of whatever kind of crossroads you guys are at as a team or as partners or what have you, talk about what it's like to be, attached to somebody like that when you're at your hottest, because you guys, regardless of where things are at right now, and maybe it is hard to look back on, but you guys did some really incredible stuff as a team together. And, do you have a response? Like, do you feel in those moments that you had a responsibility to one another? Like, how easy was it to like bounce ideas off each other? Like, just talk a little bit about, having to work in this business in tandem with somebody else when you're at your highest, when you're at your highest level. I think I find that to be so interesting because it's a physical business. There's a lot going on. You guys have to rely on each other to make bookings and be creative and hit spots. And you guys, did it all. I mean, do you look back on that run fondly and what goes into like truly partnering up with somebody like that long term?
Yeah, man, I look back on it very fondly, honestly. Like you said, it was an amazing run. We did some really cool stuff. We traveled the world together. We literally became one of the best tag teams in the world, and we started and we literally made something from nothing, just two Puerto Rican kids from New York that had a dream and the balls to chase it, like we always used to say. Him and I, we've known each other since we were doing backyard wrestling as teenagers, so there's a lot of history there and there's a lot of, but during that time, man, one thing I could always say about Ortiz and I is that when it came to, of course, we're not going to agree with everything, right? That's like, we're humans, right? We each have a different outlook on things, and that's normal. That's human nature. But a lot of the time when it came to, like, our chemistry is unmatched, right? I honestly feel like, no matter what may have been going on personally between us, or what may have we've been dealing with, or whatever, when that bell rang, there was nobody touching us. And that was the mentality that we had. And I think that mentality is what got us to where we're at. The fact that, like, we stepped into every single match with, this shit is ours, it belongs to us. And like, when we were at our hottest, man, like, we were rocking and rolling. Like, it got to a point where we barely had to say much to each other. Like, we were just so comfortable and so in our groove that, like, we would be like, all right, we just give each other a look, and it was a wrap from there. But there's, like, I enjoyed it. And we did a lot. But sometimes, in life, with anything, there comes a certain point where it's like, all right, now what's next? And now I feel like it was just me personally. I felt like it was that time. It was about that time. And like, our personal things are our personal things. It is what it is. But like, me personally, I've done a lot of the things I've wanted to do. We did more than what I expected us to do, and I'm happy with it, and I'm content with it. And now it's just time to focus on myself and do what I got to do.
That's great, man. I mean, I think I have to imagine that, look, like you said, your personal stuff is your personal stuff. And, I don't know if, like, down the road, are you interested in, like, not even from a wrestling perspective, but, are you guys going to be good, down the road personally, you think? Or is it just
I
kind of
mean,
like time to move on?
I hope so,
Yeah,
but that's something that him and I need to deal with. You know what I
sure.
mean? Outside of wrestling and outside of that. Do I think it's something that may happen now? Maybe not. But again, you know, we're pros. We're gonna do what we gotta do.
Yep.
You know, like uh I'm sure people have seen we're working together in some form to do what we got to do, and yeah, like the future is the future. I'm more focused on what we're doing today and what's going on today, and it is
Absolutely.
what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, a couple quick hit topics before we kind of ride off into the sunset here, man. So, you guys were involved in a heck of a kind of a feud back in the day, pandemic era, best friends. You had the parking lot brawl,
Yeah.
5-star match, man. I mean, that time is such a weird time for wrestling in
Mhm.
general
Mhm.
because there's nobody around. It's like everybody's kind of worried about the pandemic, and then here you guys come, and you guys have this just kind of just a very, to me, a special pandemic era match where you didn't need like an audience full of people.
Yeah.
You just needed you guys, your teams, a parking lot, some cars, some weapons.
Yep.
Like, what went into that thing? Tell me about like how that came together from like just the match itself. Like, did you guys how much did you guys practice it? Did
Yeah.
you guys just go out there? Like, it had to be a special moment for you too at that time.
Yeah. 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 Honestly, to be real, and I'm sure nobody has even said this, that whole match and that whole story came from a lot of frustration,
Really?
right? There was a lot of frustration, at least from my end and from what was going on during that time. It was the pandemic, so there was a lot of stuff going on and a lot of
Yeah,
things. Everybody was dealing with a lot of stuff, and
yeah,
but that during that time, we were just stuck doing the inner circle stuff, right? And we were
mhm,
just stuck in that groove of like, we're in the group thing, and for the first, whatever, it was cool, and we were doing cool stuff or whatever.
yeah,
But then I was like, we came here to be a tag team,
yeah,
right? We came here to continue being the best tag team in the world, and that was like getting to me because then I felt like we just started getting shoved into like the background of like this group, and it is what it is.
yeah.
And I was getting really plus the added stuff of my dad passing away, and then the pandemic happening. So there was just a lot of anger and a lot of like, it was a lot going on for me, and I was just like, yo, what are we even doing? Like I was just like, what are we doing? We're doing nothing. That's what we're doing. And I was really pissed. So I saw that Jericho at the time was working with Cassidy, Orange Cassidy. They were doing their whole deal, and I was like, Orange Cassidy has the best friends, like he's part of that team or whatever. So why the hell aren't we working with the best friends while Jericho is working with Orange Cassidy, right? So that was
Yeah.
my whole thought process, and I was like, it just makes perfect sense, and plus it was like the whole group going against Orange Cassidy. I was like, why do we have to go against one guy when he has a team of his own and we could do our own thing
Yeah.
with them? So I took it upon myself and I wrote out like maybe like 10, 12 weeks of TV
No
myself,
kidding.
just me. And I was like, what do I got to lose? I was like, screw it. Like I'm frustrated. We're doing nothing. I, this is the perfect opportunity for us to work with these guys. And we were already cool with best friends. We've known them for years. We had a good relationship with them. So I was like, yo, let me just write out these few weeks of TV. So then I write it out and I sent it to everybody. I literally emailed it to Tony, to the Bucks, to everyone.
Fascinating.
And yeah, and everybody was like, yo, this is pretty cool. And then I collaborated with Tony and moved things around, whatever, and then we eventually got to the Parking Lot Brawl.
Wow. So
And
like, did you, when you're writing the 12 weeks of TV, like in
mhm.
your outline, did it wrap with that match,
The
or
parking lot match, yeah.
did it? Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So
And
interesting.
so my idea, my visual of it was much different, but it was parking lot, cars, like let's do it, you know.
Man. So what is it
It,
like to collaborate with Tony Khan on something like that?
it was pretty cool. I mean, like with any boss, it'll get frustrating at times, right?
I know it.
But overall, it was cool. We communicated, and he took my ideas into consideration, and I took his, and we went on that, and thankfully, it went well, and it turned out to. And shout out to Jerry Lynn, because Jerry Lynn was the agent of that match, and he pretty much put all of our ideas and brought it to life and helped us like have everything make sense, and like he was a true MVP of that night too. Like,
Man, you know
legit,
what?
yeah.
I obviously I don't study wrestling in the same way that you do, but
Yeah.
I do in my own way. And man, Jerry Lynn,
Yo.
he has had. I mean, I
Yeah.
I could watch Jerry Lynn matches all day long. I mean,
100%.
and I could watch the same ones all day long and
Yo.
probably find out, like, look at and like, oh, that's something new. I didn't see
Yeah.
that the first time around. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a pretty special performer.
Listen, all the way back to when him and Lightning Kid were going at it, all the way till his ROH run, all the way, like,
Yeah.
he got better and better and better and better. Like, it was. I remember watching when he was ROH champ, and I was like, Jerry Lynn is the man. Like, let's give him his flowers. Like,
He
let's put
doesn't
respect
have
on
bad
his name.
matches. I mean, he doesn't
No,
have.
he's the man.
Yeah.
He's like, Jesus Christ. I have a best of independent matches DVD from like 2004, and there's a one-on-one match with him and Homicide, and they're wrestling in front of maybe like 50 people, and they still went in. I was like, this is amazing.
It's
Yeah.
I watch him and I'm always like, man, it's just, I just, for me, it's seeing the new stuff that I didn't necessarily see the time before. I'm like, wow, like that was such a cool, like, even like little things, like, oh, that's that facial expression, like that. That did something. I love that. All right.
And aside from him being an amazing professional wrestler, he's a beautiful human being. Yeah. He is. I mean, listen, when my dad passed away, he was one of the first people to like give me so much support, and literally, I say for months, every week, he would sit and pray with me.
Oh man.
And I will forever be grateful to him for that. He's an amazing human being, amazing agent back there. We're lucky to have guys like Jerry Lynn still around and sharing his knowledge and his time with us.
That's amazing. Oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So okay, two more questions, a quick hit. You talked earlier about it being different to work, a television show, because maybe you don't get the reps that you want. Is that what's the, like, is that a thing for talents? Like, oh man, we're just not getting. I need more reps. I need more time in front of the camera. Like,
yeah,
is that a common frustration, or or how and then how do you go about trying to get more? Is it just writing 12 weeks of television, or what?
Yeah, no, I mean, 100%. Whoever tells you that they're happy and not frustrated and they're full of shit. I'll be the first to say it. Like, I can care less. Right? Like, if you love this as much as I do, and you love it as much as you do to get you where you're at, it's bullshit that you're not frustrated because you don't have more. We all should want more. We should all strive for more, and that's the name of the game. And yeah, man, there's a lot of guys that are frustrated and they're not getting enough time, or they're not getting enough opportunities in front of the camera, and listen, at the end of the day, this is a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not uh, uh, being seen on television, or you're not getting the right opportunities to enhance yourself, or to, just like with any job, right? You're at a job, you look forward to moving up, you want to, progress, you want to get promoted, right? That's the wrestling is no different, right? How are you going to make more money if you're not uh, moving up, if you're not growing your brand, if you're not, and that's the key, is getting on TV and trying to get more reps and getting more opportunities, and making the most of every second that you have, right? If
Yeah.
you get a promo and all right, you got 45 seconds, you make sure those 45 seconds are your best 45 seconds ever, right? Maximize your minutes.
Yeah.
And
Is it a healthy environment, or for a locker room to all be chomping at the bit like that? Like, do you think
it
that
I
is that
I
healthy?
think I think in some ways it is, in some ways it isn't. Just like with
Mhm.
anything, there's a double-edged sword. But
Yeah.
for me, I try to look at it as a positive, in a sense of it's forcing everyone to be creative. It's forcing everyone to put out their best. If you look at it as something that in the long run is going to better you and benefit you, then great. When it gets to a point where everybody's trying to cut each other's throat and step on each other's toes, then of course it becomes a problem.
Okay.
But look at it as like, don't worry about everybody else. Worry about you.
Yeah.
That's it, because
Yeah.
that's what you could control. You hold your keys, and everything else is everything else. The
Yeah.
less you worry about the things that you can't control, the better off you'll be. Trust me,
Yeah.
because I mean, listen, you'll drive yourself crazy. And but yeah, man, for the most part, like, look at it as a positive, and just worry about you. That's it. Because at the end of the day, nobody's gonna have your back more than yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I try to look at it.
All right, man. Listen, Mike, thanks so much for the time.
Yeah.
You guys can check him out this Friday night. Warrior Wrestling in South Bend. You can watch on Fight TV. Mike Santana against Brian Keith. It's going to be a heck of a
Hell
match.
yeah.
I'm pumped for it.
Hell yeah.
Mike, thank you for your time. Good
No, thank
luck.
you.
I'm so happy to hear that you're in such a great place. It was great to talk wrestling. I'm gonna go watch a Jerry Lynn match.
Yes, you do that.
Yeah. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
No, thank you, Zach. I appreciate it.